No, don't do that. No, this new dog we have is so timid and he's terrified of me. So I don't want
All right. Welcome to Brothers and Booze, as Whit was
No.
chastising his
to.
dog.
This new dog we have is so timid. And he's terrified of me, and but I need to tell him not to do something. So I have to be like, "Don't do it! Don't do it!" He's terrified of me, and but I need to tell him not to do something. So I have to be like, "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
Yep. All right. Sorry, I had the volume going. So I'm doing super professional style tonight. So sorry about that. I normally don't host. So, all right. So tonight, guys, I'm here with Whit Honey, and I've been super pumped for this because I wanted to get a little more of the West Coast style stuff in here. And we had Tiffany Watson on, who went to, what was it, Russian River that you mentioned before? And
Yes, which is, I've been there as well. It's fantastic.
All right, man. So let's do it up. What are you drinking to start off?
I am starting with, I went all local beers for the show. And they're all breweries that I've been to, but they are not beers that I have had. And the first one that I got is from the Dudes, which I like because they have this Big Lebowski vibe going, including their flights are served on the paddles. The trays look like bowling pins, right?
Right.
And I went with their Boysenberry Wheat Ale. And this ties it into California, Southern California, even more than the fact that it's brewed here by Dudes is the fact that it's boysenberry, because boysenberries were first discovered. They're being grown by Farmer Boysen and taken over by Farmer Knotts, and they were grown and cultivated on what is now Knott's Berry Farm. And that's why Knott's Berry Farm is always associated with boysenberry. There was actually a boysenberry ride when I was a kid.
Okay. That's not something I had ever even thought of. I just figured, like named it like Blackberry or just Poison or whatever.
That's what I bring to the show, Doug.
I know you bring the knowledge. I just bring the dopey commentary, so it's good.
I remember writing that when I was a kid, and I saw Richard Simmons on it, and that was like my first time seeing a celebrity. I was so excited. All right, lighter than I anticipated.
Yeah.
You'll notice I have the Dudes mug because one time Dudes had a Groupon and you got 2 4-packs and 2 mugs for a very low price. So I'm not one to pass up that.
No. What kind of aroma are you getting off of that?
Certainly berry. I don't know that I wouldn't have guessed it was boysenberry. I'm not that sophisticated to know the difference between my.
Me either.
Smells good though. It smells jammy. That's good. It's refreshing. It's not too sweet. It's certainly there. Oh, it really gets you after a second.
Yeah.
It gets a little heavier on its way down. Yeah, I'm glad my 13-year-old wasn't in here. He would have said, that's what she said. He's been watching The Office. So
all right, so I'm over here on their website. So let's see what you get the boysenberry.
It's very good. It's very refreshing.
All right, there it is, top of the heap. Boysenberry Wheat Ale.
Number 1, top of the part of their juice box series, exactly.
Nice.
There, and there's all the information that I should probably be telling you that I don't know.
Well, they didn't talk about the Farmer Boysen or whatever, so that was something I definitely didn't know.
Well, they do talk about Knott.
Yeah.
And Knott's Berry Farm is a wonderful theme park. So what I love about this website, Doug, while you're on it, is if you choose, I think they have maybe 4 or 5 brew pubs in the greater Los Angeles area. So if you pick one, and you scroll down, it'll show you what beers that location has on tap, but it also shows you how much of each beer is in the kegs on tap. There's like a little scale and tells you, there's 8% of whatever.
Go to Santa Monica, for instance.
Okay. So if you were to scroll down there,
Oh, look at that. That is freaking sweet.
isn't that awesome?
Yeah, now you kind of have a sense of, all right, well, if I want to get California IPA, you're going to have to get there pretty soon because that's about to run right out.
Exactly.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I had never seen that before.
Yeah.
And I look at my fair share of brew pub websites, and I had never noticed that. I think that's a great thing for your customer, right?
Sure.
As you said, there might be something you really like that's seasonal or limited supply, limited brew, and you see it's almost out. It just changes your plans.
Well, it does. Now that I see that it's a wheat ale, it does kind of have the color you'd expect out of that. But maybe just like, I don't know what boysenberries, like the can implies that they're like purple, like grapes. So like
Right.
I was expecting a little tinge of color to that, but
That's what I was expecting. Exactly that. Because they're very much like a blackberry. Funny enough, I discovered in my research for the show, because that's what I bring, as I said. So boysenberries were first grown in the Anaheim area, but now New Zealand actually is the largest producer of boysenberries in the world. So yeah, so if you're going to like a fruit-based trivia contest,
I'm not sure I'm going to be very good at that. Now, if it's 80s cheesy music trivia, I can do well at that, but otherwise, no. All right, so I'm going to open my first one because my first one I'm afraid actually to open, and not because of the type of beer it is. So tonight I decided as a theme, I've always talked about how I think if you take time to make good labels, I'm a sucker for good labels, then I think you probably take time to make good beer. So I decided to go into the beer store and I was going to buy 3 beers just based solely on the label, not check out what type of beer, what style, anything, where they're from. I was just going to pick up one that's a cool label I'm getting at. So the first one I got here is this one called We Are One. And I just liked that it was kind of a little bit holographic. You're not going to really get a good sense of it with my tiny little webcam here, but it's just kind of unique in how they have all this, kind of psychedelic stuff. Some of the stuff you can't really see because of what it is. This is from Barrier Brewing, which is out of Oceanside, New York, which is Long Island, I believe. The reason I'm worried about opening this is because when I took it home, I got this weird lip popping up on the can. So I'm just waiting for me to open up and just have like a giant explosion, which will be good for the show, but not so good for me. So this one is pale ale. It's 5.4 ABV, 5.2, excuse me. And it was brewed with our friends Randolph Beer. So apparently this was a collab of some sort. All right. I'm going to open it over here because I'm...
Did you put down some plastic or something?
Dexter style. Well, it didn't explode. That's good. Ooh, man, that's definitely hoppy smell.
Now, if I recall correctly, you're not a big fan, generally speaking, of pale ales.
No, look at that thing just whoosh right up to the top.
That's really light.
Yeah. I'm going to wait till it settles a little so we can, pour a little more and get a better sense of what the color is. Man, it's it just says pale ale. It doesn't have any, there's no other things added to it, but it's definitely hoppy and definitely has a nice citrus smell to it. I really enjoy the aroma of it. Let's pour a little more in here. So I'm going to end up drinking a whole bunch of foam here. So milk mustache. That is really good.
Yay.
For me, that's saying something. Like the citrus is almost way more than the hops, and the hops are just kind of, it smells way more hoppy than it tastes. Man, that's surprising. I was expecting that to be like me chewing it. You know how sometimes you get those really hoppy ones and it's almost like you're like.
So your label theory so far, you're 1 for 1.
1 for 1 on that. And the one thing they have on this label, which I also thought was cool, it says, there is no them, there is only us. It's like very like kind of trippy little thing there. Yeah, I don't know. That was quite good. And so 1 for 1.
I'm intrigued by this theory of yours because conversely, you think of the don't judge a book by its cover. You think like maybe they put more into the label to overcompensate for lack of quality in the beer, but that's not the case so far.
Not so far. And the thing is, I find that the ones that have crappy labels, I will generally prejudge, to be honest. So, it's a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be because it's like it's a pale ale, but it's not IPA, so maybe it might be better kind of in that pale ale style. But like I said, I've had beers that had shitty labels and were quite good, but again, they have a little bit of a little hump to overcome for me because I'm just going to be like, yeah.
I like when breweries have a theme or like a style palette that they carry over all of their beers. Like Great Divide out of Colorado, they always have like a similar aesthetic, which I like how they connect them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like when you have a brewery that's like, here's our aesthetic. Like there's a brewery near me called Galaxy Brewing, and all their beers are, named after certain, spacing, whether it be, Pulsar, or like they do a lot of those kind of theme things, and I enjoy that they do that. So. By the way, Rue just joined us on YouTube. Rue.
Hello, Rue.
Hello, Rue.
I'm sure she has questions up here.
So Rue says, I am not drinking beer and I am not a brother, but I am still here.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really pleasantly surprised by this. And it's a 16-ounce can, but I'm going to finish this. And it's really light. Like I really enjoy that. So, yeah. So what you have next? Or are you you want to talk a little bit more about the boysenberry?
Well, I just wanted to ask you, well, first of all, I didn't give information I probably should have in terms of it's 5.4%, which is one of the reasons I'm at this point in my life where I actually gravitate toward lower alcohol content. I love, your 10 points and higher. You see, I love them, but I just they don't love me.
Well, yeah, you have to kind of. I love that stuff, but man, it's just one. And then after that, one light.
Exactly. I was going to ask you. So when you do the show normally, you and Greg, do you are you buying just a single of each of these beers and you're just trying it for the first time, or do you commit?
It depends. Greg gets a lot of beer gifted to him because he's fucking Greg. Yeah. Everybody loves Greg.
Yeah.
He goes to a lot of beer things and, he Daddy Porter. I tend to, if it's either a brewery I really like, that I know does stuff that I almost always like, I will get a 4 or 6 pack of it. If it's something like this, I will just get singles because if I'm going to do something with labels, I don't want to buy 3 things and 2 of them I really dislike and then I have extras that I need to get rid of. So yeah, for me, it just depends on also if it's a kind of style, like it's a bourbon barrel aged beer where I can cellar some of it. I'll buy a 4-pack and put 1 or 2 in the cellar. So
right, that makes sense. I need to go. Speaking of the cellar, to the refrigerator.
All right. Be back in 2 seconds.
I'm back. So I went with flavor, not on purpose, although I am a sucker for it in terms of fun flavors, right?
Yeah.
It's like my refrigerator is kind of split between your more traditional beers and then wacky beers.
Yeah.
And so I was drawn to this because I love this flavor combination, but also because it's from Lost Coast Brewery, which is more or less, I'm pretty sure it's the first brew pub I ever went to.
Really? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's a peanut butter chocolate milk stout.
Ooh, I love that the cow's on there. I don't know why I find that cool.
You're a bovine buff. We all know that.
Yep.
So my wife and I, here's a story about Lost Coast while I'm opening this beer.
Bring it.
with this was one of my favorite gifts. My wife swears that it's hers, but it was gifted to me. It's a Craftsman bottle opener.
Oh, see, that's nifty.
Yeah, I love it. I remember exactly what day I went to this brewery also, because it was 1999. It was the NBA playoffs, and it was the night of the Memorial Day miracle shot by Sean Elliott of the Spurs over the Blazers. Remember, we stepped, his heels are just over the out of bounds, but his feet are still inbound, and he hits the 3-pointer. My wife and I were staying in Eureka, California, which is where they're based, which is kind of halfway between San Francisco and the Oregon border along the coast of California.
Yeah.
Really small town. So we were surprised to find this there, first of all. And this is 1999. I didn't really even know what a craft brew pub was.
Yeah.
And we were staying at a bed and breakfast, and they sent us to Lost Coast to watch the game. And, I went to Arizona, so it was great because you had Sean Elliott, Steve Kerr, Damon Stoudemire, all on the court. Steve Kerr and Sean Elliott got to stick it to Greg Anthony after UNLV had ruined Arizona's run in the tournament. So oh my God, this smells fantastic. Now, Belching Beaver in San Diego does a peanut butter that's really good. I have not had this, and the combination of peanut butter chocolate milk stout. It's heavenly. It is absolutely heavenly. I'm to the point where I don't even know if I want to drink it. I don't know if it could live up.
You don't want to ruin it.
Right, exactly. Oh, that is absolutely divine.
So how about give us the chocolate, peanut butter, and how is that playing together?
Well, on one hand, you got your chocolate and my peanut butter. But on the other hand, you got your peanut butter and my chocolate. Yeah. To paraphrase, only people of a certain age would get that reference, but the old Reese's peanut butter commercials.
Yeah.
Don't act like you're not old enough to remember, Doug.
I most definitely do. I love Reese's peanut butter cups to this day. So yes.
They are both certainly there, but they're not competing. It's a dance. They're intertwined. Lambada style, the forbidden dance.
Forbidden beer dance.
5.6 alcohol content.
That's about right for a milk stout.
So a smooth and creamy midnight black stout with hints of roasted peanuts, cocoa, coffee, raisins, and toffee. Easy drinking. Yep. It's lovely. I've as I said, Belching Beaver has a wonderful peanut butter stout, but it's something that I would drink one of them. I wouldn't drink more than one on any,
Yeah.
Apologies for the helicopter outside. Hold for sound. Holding. Okay. This I could certainly have more than one. It's just subtle enough that I could keep drinking them.
Well, that's good because sometimes with those I find like it's almost like tastes like the one I recently had was I'm gonna blank on what it was. It was a nitro chocolate milkshake stout, and it was from Southern Tier, which makes great dessert beers, and it was like a milkshake, but it was smooth enough that I could have more than just one. And Southern Tier's like their dessert beer stuff is phenomenal, but their dessert beer is very high gravity. So like they have a creme brulee stuff that I think is phenomenal, but it's like 11% alcohol.
Right.
So you're like one and done. All that sweet and all that booze, that's enough. But you're saying this is something more drinkable that you could have multiples. That's good.
Very much so. And there's no hiding the fact that it's peanut butter and chocolate. It's obvious, but it's not overpowering to the point where it's not a novelty.
Yeah. That's good.
I really like it. I'm glad to answer my own question earlier, I went all in on the 6-pack for this, and I'm glad I did.
Sometimes it pays off.
And you know what I'm going to do a little later, which some people may be disgusted by, but I'm totally going to make myself a little peanut butter and jelly.
Ooh. No, that actually sounds good. We had a Afro Beer Chick on, and she dropped the bomb that she thought porters were the most overrated beer style and tasted like brown water.
Wow, must have been a short show.
That was a pretty hefty blow. But her thing was she would go, and if it was something like that, she would just take bourbon or whiskey and put it in the beer.
Mm.
Or she would add it and make a ice cream float out of it or something like that. And that was like, that's genius. I wouldn't even think to do that. So like,
When I was in college, we used to drink. Now they're back with White Claw and stuff like that. But back in the day, there was an alcohol pop called Two Dogs that it was like the cooler Zima's cool cousin, and they had a bunch of really cool flavors, orange, and that was our thing. We'd always take like one sip and then we'd top it off with like orange flavored vodka, because I don't, that's what you do when you're young and dumb, I guess.
yeah, well, hey, that's what it's there for, is to, do fun stuff. Like, okay.
But we made shakes as well. I've made shakes with Guinness and like various ice cream. I've actually had Guinness ice cream at a beer festival one time. I would love to buy that. I've never seen it.
All right, so I'm over here in the Lost Coast one, over their site. So let's see.
Man,
I've had their tangerine wheat. I do like that one. That one's pretty good. And I've had their great white.
So this is a different location than I went to. They have grown and moved into a new location. They used to be right downtown in Eureka.
Okay. All right, so here's their beers and ciders. Let's go over here. And they do ciders too, apparently. So that's interesting.
Which, that's new since
their 8-Ball stout I have had. I like that. That's actually a pretty good stout.
So the Great White, I think, was their flagship.
And Downtown Brown, I think.
And Downtown Brown. And I think those are both, correct me if I'm wrong, they're readily available across the nation, right?
Yeah. All right, so here's their peanut butter chocolate milk stout you were just having. Smooth, creamy black. I think they basically had the same thing on here that they had on the bottle that you read. Yep. So balanced and approachable. Ooh, fancy. So
yeah.
When you said Lost Coast, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I had some of those. And now when I look at the site, I'm like, oh yeah, I've had several of their beers, So
right.
Well, I'm glad that one's super drinkable, because sometimes you get those, and like I said, the peanut butter is pretty aggressive flavor,
right?
So it can be a little overwhelming. So.
What do you have on tap there, or not?
Yeah,
literally?
I'm gonna go to something that this one I had to get because I just had to. All right, so this one is a Belgian ale, Triportu to Hell. So, and the best part, Belgian ale, alcohol by volume, 6.66%. And I was like, all right, I'm in.
Now, that had to be intentional, right?
Oh, I'm sure it was. Now, whether it's actually 6.66, I don't know. I still thought that was kind of clever.
That's very good.
So,
or very bad, apparently, but yeah.
So, all right. I'm a big fan of Belgian beers, so this is also, I just saw the label and I grabbed it, and then when I picked it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm definitely getting that. So I'm going to use my Belgian glass from Duvel with half naked things. So if I'm going to go to hell, might as well do it the right way. So this.
You're going to enjoy the ride?
Well, it says Belgian ale. It doesn't say Belgian golden ale. So it's definitely not a golden ale if you look how dark that is. So.
Yeah, it's a nice color. Is there a tint of almost has like a ruby tint to it?
Well, that's because it's got roasted malt in it. So I think that's where you're getting all that color. Yeah. There's a hell of an ale brewed with home roasted malt. So there's not a lot on the nose. I will say that. It's just kind of. All right. So I have a certain expectation with Belgians is that they have a pretty distinct flavor, usually pretty strong. I mean, like just really present, usually kind of sweeter. This one's a little sweeter, but the flavor comes and poof, just gone. Like just Doesn't stay on your palate at
Doesn't
all.
linger at all.
No, you just take a sip. I'm like, that's tasty, and then pouty face after that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting something because of the freaking label and all the. That's what I get from looking at labels. So
when that flavor is there, are you enjoying it?
That's the thing. I would like it to linger a little more.
Right. So the trick is don't come up for air. Just keep drinking.
I'll just be like pounding it down. Maybe that's the point. Yeah, that is it's really got a good flavor. The roasty malt stuff is really there, and then it just goes right away. Yeah, it's this is out of all three beers the only one I could find on the company website, believe it or not. So I'll share that so we can take a look. This one is a brewery in Belgium, so it's not just like Omegang is close to us and they make a lot of this stuff. So they have several different things. So let's do.
Their label reminds me of like Ratatouille.
Yeah, kind of, right? Few beers and malt. So let's go.
Hello?
Well, did Greg join us here? Well, aren't you full of surprises?
Yeah, speak of the devil.
Yeah. So
I am full of surprises. I don't my webcam doesn't work, so
yeah. So we'll just
My
listen to your
voice.
melodious voice.
I can't even show you what I'm drinking. Oh, I'm sorry, Doug. You go. Finish.
No problem. So interesting. They have just these. It looks like just through. No, more interesting. So a bunch of different ones. But I thought initially it was like, oh, they only have three. So they have Heaven, Hell, and Bling Bling. This Pyrrhic is made with real 24K gold flakes. Wow, interesting. So, like I said, this is a Porteur from Hell is a dark beer brewed with hellish burned and roasted bomb malt. Mind you, chocolate, caramel, and recently brewed coffee and freshly baked bread. Now, the only note that I got out of that, maybe slight chocolate and coffee, but the freshly baked bread and caramel, I don't get that out of there.
It wouldn't be freshly baked anymore. It's been in that can for a while. So.
And plus was it freshly baked down below and brought up to us?
Right.
That
Freshly baked croutons.
Yeah, hellish croutons. So yeah, I think the taste is really good. It's too brief. Yeah, so that's my assessment of that little thing. But I mean, 6.6% ABV.
That's very funny, and the Fantasia glass is very fitting.
Yeah. So yes, it's really good. It's lacking staying power on the palate. That's the only thing I dislike about that. So that's another one. I would say from a flavor perspective, 2 for 2. That one leaves me wanting a little more. So
You should drop a Viagra in there and see.
Maybe that'll.
All right.
That's what she said. You know, I don't know if Greg's still with us there. It looks like he's muted, but what I was going to say is I was going to ask him what he was drinking, if he could describe it, but maybe not. So do you have a third or do you have a?
I do.
All right. Well, let's go that route a little bit.
All right.
While I try to drink this really fast so I have the flavor on my palate.
Yeah. Drink fast. Take chances. All right. I'm going to head downstairs to the fridge.
You should like walk like you're actually going down the steps, like one of those mimes.
I actually thought about doing that. That was my first instinct. And then I realized that I hate when people do that. So I shouldn't do it. Okay. This is a brewery out of Santa Barbara. So I have Eureka, which is North California. I have The Dude, which is Southern California. And Santa Barbara is actually right on the line of what they call Central California. I think technically it's part of Southern California. We claim them. I don't know if you've ever been to Santa Barbara. It's absolutely lovely. I've been to this brewery. It's called Third Window Brewing Company, and I was drawn to the name immediately because it's called Odie McOatface,
Like Bodie McBoatface.
like Bodie McBoatface, exactly like that. I am a sucker. You're a sucker for labels. As am I, and I am also a sucker for, which I'm sure you are also, wordplay.
Mm-hmm.
So I do enjoy that. Let's see here. Iteration number 1, 2019. Greg sighting.
Greg is in the house.
And 5.5. So all of my beers are in the fives.
Well, you said that's where you're kind of where your zone is now. So
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It doesn't smell like I thought it would smell. Like the aroma isn't quite what I was imagining. I like that Greg's wearing his name tag.
we know who he is.
Greg, did you want to go while you're on your camera?
Oh man, you go, man. You go. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere.
All right.
Hello, by the way. Hi. What's going
Hello.
From sunny Minneapolis.
Philly, Minneapolis.
You know what's funny? Hey, Greg, I was telling Doug that I was going to have a peanut butter and jelly later because of my peanut butter chocolate milk stout and my boysenberry wheat. But with the addition now, I have like some oat bread. So I literally have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich going on tonight. It's my accidental theme. All right, let's see.
You've out-themed our theme guy.
Be polite, letting the guest have a moment. This is very, very mild.
Okay. Well,
And
you said it wasn't giving you the aroma you were expecting. What were you expecting?
More.
Short and to the point.
Although, to be fair, I have not cleansed my palate, and I'm coming straight off that peanut butter chocolate.
Yeah, maybe take another sip or two to try to get into the.
Yes. So, and I will say that the beers that I had at this brewery, I enjoyed all of them. So I'm expecting good things here. I just need to swish and spit in the spittoon. It's very good in that it's certainly drinkable. I'm getting a little bit down here. Okay. Like I was expecting a little more robustness to it. And it's a little thinner than I anticipated. But again, it's probably not fair to have it. If I had been thinking, I would have arranged these in such a way that I probably should have done this one first because I have two other drinks that are more overpowering flavor.
Yeah.
But that's why you have a show and I don't. So
Hindsight's always 20/20, man.
I'm getting the coffee now. Like I'm getting the coffee. 3 sips in, the coffee's starting to register on it. So
not the Odie, like you're not.
Like if you had handed this to me and said that it and asked me what it was, I would not have gone oatmeal stout. I would have thought almost like a black lager or but with a hint of coffee.
Yeah, I mean it has here on the website when I go over is Odie make oat face. It's notes of chocolate, coffee, and vanilla, but doesn't have like a lot of other descriptors. But most of them are like that. It seems like. So
yes, they're very simple.
Mm-hmm. Their website is fairly simple, but like sometimes that's good. Like it's not too busy.
The location itself is really close to the ocean, really close to like the Santa Barbara Bowl, very picturesque. But I was looking through my Instagram to see if I had any photos. Oh, here's something. If you don't mind me going on a bit of a tangent, as I warned you I might.
That's fine.
So this is all my wife's doing. She started a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet of all the brew pubs close to us, which are well over 100. And so whenever my wife and I both have time to do so, we go out together and we'll go to 2 or 3 of them. And usually because we're driving, we'll share a flight at each place and try as much stuff as we can. And if we're really committed, we'll go with a lift or something and hunker down, maybe take the dogs. So we have this spreadsheet and what it is, we try the different beers. We rate the beers, of course, and we also rate the food if they have food. We are tracking whether or not they are family friendly, whether they're pet friendly, and overall ambiance. And it's like this very sophisticated spreadsheet that my wife came up with. I don't know what we're going to do with it. We're about probably 25 or 30 brew pubs into the 100, and there are actually more than 100 if we wanted to go north of Santa Barbara or if we wanted to go south of Irvine, because then you get in, and that's not even including San Diego, which is a hotbed itself, So it's a lot of fun though. I love that she loves to do this as well, and she's a part of the beer Facebook group, and there's a place close to us called Bottle and Pint. Here, plug for Bottle and Pint, which they don't brew their own beer, but what they do is on tap they have tons of local breweries. I prefer to go to the brew pub proper to get that experience, but it's nice to have that as an option. And what they also do is they have a dry storage shop where you can buy bottles of all the local beers that they have on tap.
Yeah, it's a nice bottle.
Anyway, so that's why we wound up at this place at Third Window, was because of the spreadsheet. And it's a beautiful area. The beer's good. But as I said, I would not think, when I think of oatmeal stout, this is not what I'm thinking.
Like I would think, as you said, a little bit thicker.
A little, yeah. It doesn't feel stout.
It drinks a lot lighter than that. Like it's not
right.
Mouthfeel.
Exactly. And as I said, it's a little heavier. Like the initial mouthful is not heavy. It gets a little heavier after the aftertaste, but it's not. It doesn't punch you in the mouth with stoutness.
Stout punch.
Stout punch. Exactly. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's the bottom line. Anyway, Greg, what do you got, man?
Is our sponsor prepared for his word?
What's that?
Is our sponsor prepared for his word?
No, I didn't prepare him for that because I forgot.
Wait, am I the person you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, it's
now
now time for our sponsor.
Then you just kind of talk about the stuff you do, like if there's things you want to discuss, like
books you wrote, places to find you where you write.
Yep.
Oh, a little PR from me, huh?
Yeah.
I see how it is. You get me liquored up.
Mm-hmm. Promoting yourself.
Yes.
I don't even know where to start with that, other than I've already worked 2 jobs today, and I have 2 more to do after this show. I have a deadline. So I'm a writer, but I also work for a company called Bark, which does social media and digital monitoring of teen and tween, their presence online for kid safety. It's an amazing job. It's a rewarding thing that we do. But I also, up until last year, before I took the job with Bark, I've been working as a writer for 15 years. And not that I wasn't writing before that, but I was making a living doing it for the last 15 years. So yes, I do have a book. I'm writing another book right now, which is one of the things I need to do tonight. I have a deadline on that. I also have a deadline for Fandango. I cover a lot of Disney animation and Pixar for Fandango, and I have to write about Frozen 2.
Oh, did you get to go to see that already?
I've seen parts of it. I've not seen the whole thing. Okay. But I've seen parts of it, and I've met with the creative team and everyone, basically everybody but the voice talent. So got to Disney Studios, animation studios, and get to do all that. it's a really cool thing to do. You know, and I've been up to Pixar several times for similar press events. It's really fun. So I'm doing that. So yeah,
Wait,
that's my plug.
What's the book's name?
The book does not have an official name yet.
No, the one that's out. The one that's already out.
Well, the one that's already out is the Parents Phrase Book. Thank you, Greg. I'm gonna have to take Greg with me everywhere I go. It is the Parents Phrase Book. It is a guide to communication. It's about emotional and empathetic social learning. It is how to communicate with kids, but also with anybody, really. How to be a good listener, how to bring up children that want to be involved in their community, the social good aspect, which is why after the book, I started with our mutual friend Carter Gaddis. I started Dads for Change, which is a website that is dedicated to getting kids involved in social good. If you were to look at our social platform, it is incredibly political right now. That was never our intent. It's just that the things that we were talking about became political. So there we were. But it's about getting kids involved and families involved and doing social good in their community, because my belief is that kids want to do that sort of thing. And yet they're told they can't do it because they're too young, and people are afraid that they can't do a good job. There's insurance reasons, whatever it might be. And what's going to happen is at some point they're going to stop asking about it and they're going to move on to something else. And we've missed a window to introduce them to that sort of civic mindedness, to be a part of it. And so we really wanted to find a place to make that happen. So there's my elevator pitch, and here's my floor. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, Doug, can I jump in here and do mine?
Yeah, do it, man.
Please.
So I was given. Doug said that earlier. Doug said that I get beer given to me. He's partially right, but anyway. So it's funny because
I'm saying you don't buy your own. I'm saying that you get gifted quite a few beers. I'm jealous of that. That's
for sure.
Hey, Greg.
I just wanted to give you a little heads up though, because I have to start this whole thing by saying I was given this porter here. No bullshit. By Tom Walters, a dad that's here. It's Coppertail Night Swim Porter.
Oh, Coppertail.
Beautiful illustration.
Look at that.
Our friend
You like this label, Doug?
Their stuff.
You like this label, Doug?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's a good one. Coppertail is from Tampa.
Yep. As I said, Scotty Schreier is a big fan of their beer, especially Unholy, which is their Belgian triple.
Pours. It looks darker than my normal porter.
Yeah, it looks nice and dark.
It looks black, actually. You see that head dissipated quick. Ooh, this is a big roasty one on the nose. Nothing but roast. But look, I don't have any head anymore here. I'm not. No, I'm a big fan of that. But we're gonna go jump in here. This is a porter that drinks like a stout. In the aspect of the roastiness, it's a big roast. Doug, this is one of yours, man. Big roast, some coffee, some chocolate, but not coffee and chocolate that you can tell they added. Coffee and chocolate that they get out of the malts. Where it doesn't act like a stout is in the mouthfeel. It's very I'm not gonna say it's thin, but if it was a stout, you would call it thin. But for a porter, mouth feels good. The only thing I'm going to complain about is just the lack of head here.
Yeah.
I want a little bit of creaminess to balance that roast. Otherwise, this is a pretty damn good one. It says here 6.2. Luxurious, rich, and roasty with locally sourced chocolate. Oh, so there is chocolate in here. Okay. It's not pronounced. It's there, but it's not like, in your face saying, hi, here I am. Independent. Yeah, Coppertail. This is a pretty good one. This isn't a brown water porter. So, because again, this is way too roasty. This has flavor. You may not like the flavor, but this has flavor. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Yeah, that sounds like something I would really dig. Like, when I was when I came to San Diego, Scotty actually came and brought their Belgian triple unholy, and that's like one of his favorites. And I'd say that was quite good. So that's the only one I've had of theirs. I haven't had that, but that sounds like something I'd love to try.
Yeah, and the only reason I got it is because somebody brought it here to Minneapolis for me. So yeah,
Gifted boy.
When you guys, I have not had the opportunity to go to one of the bottle exchanges because whenever those have happened, I've always been working. I've had other things going on because of my role there.
Mhm.
But how does everybody bring this stuff on a plane? What are they doing?
You have to take you have to check a bag. You can't carry it in carry-on.
But as
So
long as it's wrapped well, you can have it in your bag.
You can have it in there. DC is 5 hours for me, so I'm driving there. So I'm gonna be bringing a whole bunch of shit this time. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, here's something that I haven't really announced yet, but now that I'm like well in, a few beers in, I will say today was my last day as the Dad 2 social media and community manager.
Wow.
So this year at Dad 2, I will be able to participate in the bottle exchange. I will not have other duties.
Awesome.
Yes. Still love the guys. Still love the everything that Dad 2 is about. Still love the community. But it was just, as I said, I'm halfway through my day. I have a lot on my plate, so it was time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to have this opportunity to experience that. I've always heard you guys talk about it. I've always been insanely jealous, and this year I can do it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm super happy that it's DC just because I don't have to worry about a plane ticket, but also that I could pack a lot of beer and bring it. That's going to be really cool. And Whit, I believe are you a bourbon or a Scotch drinker?
I'm a bourbon.
All right, so I am going to bring a bourbon for you to try from. It's from a company that's in the Midwest. I think it's Indiana. It might be Michigan. It's called Journeyman. They make a bourbon that finishes dry, which I have never had in my life until I had that. So that's something I got to bring for you to give you.
Yes, I will not
now
say
that you can join us for the drinking festivities.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what happens at these shares too, especially the dad ones, is that people just want to pack a bomber. So normally, as you know, as a craft beer drinker, what comes in bombers? Barrel aged beers, sours. So
I'm bringing a bunch of different smaller stuff just so everybody can have it.
Usually shares have bombers because they're easy to share. So to me, it always tends to go to like stouts and sours and barrel aged stuff. So because again, if you bring like a 16-ounce beer, even a can, how many people can really drink off of this? If there's a lot of people, so
like 10 straws in it.
Yeah, right.
Like a fishbowl.
Just by natural
full of beer.
Yeah, just by natural, I don't know, osmosis or whatever. Again, you usually get the bigger beers at the shares. We had a big share here last night at HomeDadCon. Good time. We're screaming at the Eagles and Packers last night. That was a good game. Had a bunch of we're in Minneapolis here, so there was a bunch of Packer fans here. So it was fun.
Fans?
There were a couple of Vikings fans for sure, and there were a couple of Philly fans too. So, and actually, there were Bears fans screaming "Go Bears!" So they Bears fans infect everything. Sorry. Anyway, Bears fans. Yeah, well, send me stuff on Twitter. Anyway, no. So we had a share last night, and now guys are talking about having another one tonight because we didn't finish the beer from last night. Like normally, what happens is people bring too much beer. So Doug, you are smart because you'll be able to take home the beer that people can't or don't want to take home from, when they fly. So that's a really good source of getting beer is driving to a convention.
Well, that's the thing is I can drive and I'm really looking forward to it. It's just, and I'm really, really pumped you're going to be able to join us because we're going to have such a good time doing
Let me ask you this, if this is okay to do on the show, what California beers intrigue you that you would be interested in seeing or tasting?
I'll just quickly say anything from Modern Times. I'm good.
I almost got a Modern Times for this, but I figured that they're well known enough. I wanted to get things that maybe aren't as well known, but Modern Times is fantastic.
Well, yeah, and Doug and I always talk about how the best breweries, that they're really the best breweries we don't know about. Like, you don't know my best breweries, and I don't know yours because they're small, they're local, they're crafting, they're amazing. So normally when people say, "Hey, what do you want me to bring?" I usually say, "Bring me something that I can't get, or something that doesn't distribute, or you can get like a crowd." Some places you already know some places have crowlers, so you just get a fresh crowler when you come out of the local one that you and the lady like that doesn't distribute. Those are probably the best beers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because I'm assuming Modern Times can be purchased at, if I don't know what you have in your areas, like a Total Wine type
where
of
I
place
am.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Where
Whatever. Doug gets a whole bunch of shit that I don't get, so don't feel bad for him. So anyway,
for me, I'm gonna say the stuff that I don't see a lot of that I wish I saw more of was the brewery.
All right.
But has that weird spelling. I don't get a lot of their stuff.
Right.
Stuff I do see is like the freaking like $25 bombers that I'm not going to buy a $25 bomber.
The brewery has this, I can never find it. It's always out, but they have this. I am for years now, I'm chasing the perfect maple beer, which maple's hard enough to find as it is. And when you do find it, it's disappointing, but I love maple in general, and I feel it could be done well. And I want to find, and they have one that is supposedly really good. It's I can't remember what breakfast food it's paired with, but the brewery has this. And every time I always go look at whatever liquor store I wind up in, and it's always gone.
Doug, that's a good one though. The brewery, a lot of their stuff comes in bombers. A lot of their big beers, so they're not probably a beer that even you and the lady will probably. I mean, they're big, sweet beers. From what I know, the brewery makes, and they're good. Don't get me wrong, but they're more, in my opinion, the brewery beers. And again, Doug, that was a good one because they're really shareable because they're so, in my opinion, intense. Actually, the brewery makes intense beers as far as like the intensity of the beer and how I can only really have like this much of it. Because a lot of them are just so, intense is the word I'll use.
I feel like I need you to come out here and do a West Coast tour, live from the West Coast, and we can go hit up a bunch of these places and represent. It's not fair to real beer connoisseurs that I'm representing the West Coast on your show, because because other people have more knowledge than I do, and
your wife has a spreadsheet.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
You can't talk. We're not. Here's the thing. We're not. None of us are experts.
Doug is right.
We just we like beer. We like trying off the wall weird stuff, and you're in that group. If you want to try different things, that's what we want. You don't have to be somebody who's studied beer for 20 years.
I used to work at Stone for all 3 days back in 1999, because Greg, the founder, there was only one place in the world that had Stone on tap, and it was the restaurant that my wife was the manager of. And this is my wife. We weren't married then, but we were living together in sin, and we didn't have a TV. And so I would walk down to her restaurant every night to watch TV, watch like Sports Center. And Greg would come in every night to drink Stone Pale Ale on tap, because that was the only place in the world that had it.
Wow.
And he and I struck up a friendship. He invited me to come apply, and I did. And I remember at my job interview, they gave me tons of, at the time, seemed like tons of beer, and they've certainly expanded since then, but there are like 3 or 4 different beers that they had. And at the interview, they gave me beers to taste and to take home. And I sat in my car and I called everybody I could think of on my flip phone and told them I just had a job interview. They gave me beer. I just had a job interview. They gave me beer. So I worked there for about 3 days. And then a job that I had already applied to and I didn't think I was going to hear back from that I really wanted. I did hear back from them. So I wound up not staying with Stone. In hindsight, I can't even imagine what my life would have been like had I stuck with them. Because at that point, they had maybe 6 or 7 employees.
Wow. So you were on the ground floor and then
I know. I may have known what I was talking about if I'd stayed with them.
Oh, you tied it all together like a storyteller you are. Great story. Nice.
I have one more beer. And I saved this because it is, I shared it with you guys earlier. I'm like, I don't even know what to expect out of this fucking beer because it's literally like more things than should ever be in a beer. So this is, the reason I grabbed it is obvious. It's this weird skulls stacked on each other. And when I picked it up, I didn't realize it was from Omnipolo, which I had one last week, Greg, if you remember. And it was from them. And this is it's called Vanitas Double Dry Hopped Buckwheat Baklava Imperial India Pale Ale with pistachios and almonds.
I'll be honest, Doug. I don't hate that.
Listen, it did me when I read that because remember I was like, all right, I got these beers and it's this, and this, and this. And I went, whoa. Okay, I'm not even sure what to do with this. So yeah, let's crack this open and
before we even drink this beer, I just feel it's doing too much.
Yeah, and I don't know how you put all that stuff and be like, oh, we're just gonna throw fucking 5,000 things in a beer. That's what that feels like.
But I'll be first to line up and try it, of course.
Definitely hoppy on the nose. I smell none of the other things they said other than hops.
What is the style again?
Double dry hopped IPA, Imperial IPA.
With pistachios.
The style is grab bag.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Initially it looks almost like a Northeast IPA, but
or a milkshake even.
It's kind of hazy looking.
Close.
It's definitely hazy.
This is 8% ABV, so this is a high one. So
cheers.
Cheers, man. And so there's a nutty aroma on it when you pour it, but in the can it didn't have that. So
you opened it in the bathroom?
In the can.
Sorry. I'm only here once. I got to use all my
jokes. That could be interpreted. Yeah, interpreted, Doug. Maybe drink more. That could be interpreted quite a few ways in the can.
So what are you getting?
Everything that they said on the can. Like, I don't. Okay, I need to have another drink of that because I went from that devil beer to this, and it's a little bit of an adjustment. Okay, so hoppiness on the front, but not like in your face hoppiness. Then it gets sweet, and then a little nutty flavor. It tastes more like almost like a milkshake IPA than it does an Imperial IPA, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. It looks like that.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting.
We don't have lactose in it?
Doesn't say it does. And again, as I told Whit earlier, this and the very first beer I had were the two of my 3 beers were not on their website. So this isn't even on the Omnipolo website. So I have no space to do anything. So with what else they're talking about. So this is just, it's an amalgam of flavors that I never thought I'd have in a beer.
I love that word.
But it's not, It's not mediocre. It's not bad. It's not great. Good is probably about the right space for that. I don't know. Just because there's so many things going on, it's almost like you're trying to figure out what the beer is instead of just enjoying the beer.
Right.
You're spread
Like,
too thin.
man, all this stuff is going on. What is that?
It's doing too much, like I said.
A little too much.
Right. Right. And it doesn't make it a bad beer. I think we've all had beers like this where like there's just so much going on. You're like, what? I know I've had a couple on the show like this, Doug. Like, what the is going on with this?
Yeah.
So did you taste the pistachios? Did we get those?
No, it's just more like a general nuttiness. I don't know. It's not like peanuts, but it's just like, it's just kind of general. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, and I'm supposed to explain it because we're on a show, but literally, I can't explain like more than just.
Well, that's good. That's good. Hey, sometimes it's unexplainable, man. Sometimes you don't have the answers. So, would you have that again?
Yeah, I would actually, because here's the thing. That is the kind of thing that would be great at a bottle share. Because I'd love to hear what everybody else thought of that, because it's like there's so many things going on that, all right, what are you getting out of that? Here's what I'm getting out of that. And, you don't get that with a lot of beers, really. Usually it's like, oh, yeah, I get all the bourbon notes from the barrel aging, or it's really hoppy and I get those Simcoe things. Also, my son just grabbed a tea and wrote on a pad beer next to it and held it next to the tea. Sorry for the distraction. That was fucking awesome. But anyway, it's definitely an interesting thing. That's one of the more nuanced, strange beers I've had.
Good. Cool.
It's weird that it's not on the site because I want to know more. I assume it's a limited.
Yeah, like a limited run.
Limited run, exactly.
Yeah, because when I went to their site is like the most utilitarian site I've ever seen. I'm going to share it with you, and you're going to be like, that is very Nordic.
Yeah.
Look at this sort type.
Wow.
So your types are beer, Virgin Dice.
Brought to you by AOL.
Yeah. But like you look at it, you can't, that's not on there. This is the very.
Wait, is that a Klansman? What is that?
That one is one that it's an imperial stout that they did to mock white supremacy.
Okay.
And because how it looked, everybody kind of for it, so they stopped making it.
Yeah, that's a fine line.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one I had last week, Greg. Remember this one?
It's a real fine line, but yes.
But I mean, it's just I don't know. It's so weird. Just like, here's the beer bottles. Pick one.
I feel like I've seen that bottle. The one that had the happy face.
That was awesome. And if you can find that, buy that.
Okay, I feel like I've seen it. And this one in that same row, past the Klansman, that looks like, was that an Arizona iced tea?
What?
Up one, but it's so the same color. The can, the same color up with like okay.
Bianca lemon coconut.
So yes, it is.
Right.
Right. But like, I just love here's our very utilitarian website. Enjoy our beers.
Yeah.
Or even just this. This was their attempt at humor. Gift card. Have a nice
wow.
So Doug, your theory then of the label, meaning the better the label, the better the beer. Would you say you're 2 for 3 or?
Okay.
That's great, Mike. Great question.
Because I'd said that was my theory, and I think here's the thing. I would say 3 for 3 in this respect, because that last one, while it was a lot, it was definitely something unique. And they threw a lot in there, but it wasn't like it's not like ordering the garbage plate at a diner. It's not that. It's actually, we're going to throw all these things in and we're going to make it work. But it's definitely like something, it's not like anything I've ever had before. So in that case, it was successful. Now, the flavors are, I don't know, the more I have it, the more I like it. So that might just be because I had 2 beers before it. I don't know.
The way
But,
you're describing that, and maybe this name's already taken. If it isn't, it should be. A beer that, the way you're describing that beer should be called the kitchen sink.
mm,
It's like, it's everything, all right?
Right.
like,
Right.
after it settles, it still has that milkshake look.
Part of me feels like you're just working really hard to prove yourself right in your label theory.
Well, you could say 2 for 3. I wouldn't be objectionable to that. I'm just saying that what I like about this is it's taking a bunch of things that when I got it and I got it for the label, and then when I looked at it, I'm like, holy fuck, how is that going to even be? How can I possibly taste all those things? Like that seems like just they're trying too hard, I think, was what you were thinking, Greg.
Right. Does it say anything about that label? Is that like a local artist or something? Is that?
No, it says nothing on there, I don't think. Let me put my glasses on. I'm an old man. Oh, interesting. Distributed by 12% in Mount Vernon. Brewed and canned in Great Southern Bay Brewery, Bay Shore, New York, for Omnipolo. So this isn't even brewed. This is brewed in New York. But they don't have anything else on here. So
I mean, this whole time I'm giving you shit about the way you're describing that, and yet I poured all 3 of my beers together, and I'm loving it.
Really?
how's that look?
Really?
Hold that up.
Really?
Can you see the purple hues in there?
This is my peanut butter and jelly sandwich on oat bread. I have my oatmeal stout, my boysenberry wheat, my peanut butter chocolate milk stout. I'm gonna have one of these for breakfast every day.
Breakfast of Champions, baby. Greg, that reminds me of, what was that bread beer you had that you were like, that's the worst fucking beer ever, but it's exactly what they said it was?
Oh, the rye bread beer.
I was like, oh, you're like, well, it's definitely rye bread, but
The worst fucking beer ever.
I wasn't a part of that conversation, but the look on your face just said it all.
he was like, oh.
It was horrifying. I love when people go extreme on beer reviews. I love when people say extreme things about beer. It's great. It's fun.
I love that.
There's so many beers.
All the brew pubs we go to, I am a sucker for the weird thing on the menu. It's like, if I've never seen it before, I'm ordering that. And it's like 50-50, I'd say, in terms of when you get it, whether or not it's actually good.
Yeah.
But I applaud the brewer for having the balls to do something
Right.
outside the box.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
One of my favorite little local breweries is this brewery called the North Brewery, and they make just some really weird stuff. They made a basil IPA, which sounds super weird, and it was delicious. Like, who the fuck thinks to throw basil in an IPA? But it was awesome.
So
But
about 10 years ago, Esquire had a recipe for a basil mojito. And I was actually, this is 20 years ago because I was tending bar at the time. And I was like, all right, I'm going to check it out. And I made basil mojitos. It was fantastic. I never would have thought to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding people that are willing to roll the dice, because, a lot of times when they're smaller, you either do this, I'm going to go just really weird and just try everything, or you're going to go, I got this safe path I can go that might get me to where I'm a little bigger. I think that's kind of the two classes.
I think that applies to a lot of things, right? It's like, are you playing to the masses or to the critics? It's like you got to choose your path.
Yeah.
It's truth.
Yeah,
Truth.
I feel like I got really deep all of a sudden.
Very philosophical there with it. little highbrow for us.
I like to go on
Although
shows. I like to go on shows and bring them
Although-
down.
I say that, and he's drinking a beer where he combined all three of his beers into one, so maybe not.
And it's fucking good. I like it. I'm not embarrassed to say it. It's really good.
You sound like my son who likes to do that with soda. He loves
Oh,
it.
God, man,
Horrible.
it's bad enough in a restaurant, but I don't know if you have the local movie theater has one of those machines where it has like 100 sodas in it. You know, it's like it's all
Vinyl.
digital, and you push whatever. We don't have to go see the movie. My boys are happy just to stand at this machine and make some crazy concoction, which is always disgusting. And yet they drink the whole thing and then get in fights over whether or not they get refills halfway through the movie, you know, and then they got to pee. Yeah, what is that? I don't know. The suicide they call it, right? Or the kamikaze.
That doesn't change.
No.
My kids
Here
are-
I am. Yeah, exactly. Doing it.
So yeah. So I'm gonna ask Greg, what was your winner?
There you go. Right.
Because I have to be an asshole.
Right. It's cool.
No, but was that one that you would drink again?
Oh, absolutely. Not only is it what I drink again, I would definitely recommend it for sure. Night Swim Porter, big roast chocolate, everything you look for in a porter. Again, the head was a little thin. That was my only minor complaint.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
it's
nice and roasty.
yeah, I don't see an expiration date, so I don't know. It was tasty.
And it was like 6.6, right?
6.4, 6.2. So
And
kind of a
no
big one,
offense-
big robust one.
No
Yeah.
offense to Doug and his label theme, but that was my favorite label of the night as well. Not even tasting the beer. I think that label, it makes me think. Like you'll notice behind me, I have concert posters.
Yep.
Uh,
How about beer posters? That'd be great. I'd hang that on my wall.
I'd be down for that.
How about it? How about it? What were your favorites, Doug?
So, all right. I'm trying to figure out. So, what's weird is that last one really grew on me, even because it's like a milkshake IPA. But that's probably my least favorite if I'm going to rank them. So, that one was on the Polo, which was weirdly brewed and made in New York, but somehow they get to claim it. This was the weird one with the double dry hop buckwheat baklava imperial IPA with pistachios and almonds, all the things, as Witt called it, the kitchen sink beer.
All the things.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, almost too much, but definitely unique and tasty. I had this one, Greg, which you didn't get to see me open because I was afraid to open it because that weird can.
I think I was listening now.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
We Are One from Barrier Brewing, which is a collab with Randolph Beer, which I'd never heard of. I really dig this label. This was probably my favorite label out of all three. And it's a pale ale, but God, that was good. Like I really, really like that one. Like really smooth, not super over hoppy, really good. 5.2 ABV. They had a quote on there that said, "There is no them, there is only us," which I really thought was fucking creepy as fuck.
I like the same, but it is creepy as fuck.
So you know what? I can't even like this one was really good, but it's the flavor just left. Like it was like good chew. So this is Tripator to Hell, the Belgian ale, 6.66% ABV, which I'm gonna fucking giggle like that all night long. I don't know, man. These two are about even. Like I can't even make a discernation because both of these were good. Although I think this has got to be the better one, just because the flavor hung around a little bit longer. This one was just too short. Like it just like as you said, I wanted more. And it's like, yeah, this was great. But as soon as the flavor left your palate, which was like 5 seconds after you took a swig, it just needed to stay around more. So that's the guy right there. We Are One from Barrier Brewing. How about you, Whit? Let's get your assessment, sir.
All right. Well,
Other than your collaboration of all the beers.
which was amazing. I stand by it. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich on oat bread. That's sweeping the nation. So Odie McOatface, oatmeal stout from Third Window Brewing. It did grow on me. I was a little mean to it at the beginning. I think it was unfair that I put it after something that had a lot of flavor in it. It certainly grew on me. The coffee came out after I sipped on it for a while. By the way, I finished all these beers, and I had no intention of doing so because, as I said, I have stuff to do. But now
you'll have all the energy.
Yeah, actually, what I'm going to do is just order a pizza and watch Fleabag for the rest. And I'll write my stuff in the morning. Anyway, this was very good. I liked it. Pardon me just a moment. Excuse me, 13-year-old son.
Get the flat pizza like the thin
Yeah, we'll talk about pizza in a minute.
I really want
We'll talk about pizza in a minute.
You mentioned pizza. That was the problem.
Yes. Yes.
So the peanut butter chocolate milk stout from Lost Coast Brewery, which started, I believe, in 1996 by Barbara Groom in Eureka, California, which it's a beautiful little town, but frankly, it's in the middle of nowhere along the coast of Northern California. Beautiful area. This had some wonderful, wonderful flavor. And then I'm just like doing a recap thing here. That's what you do, right?
Yes.
And then my boysenberry wheat from the Dudes. I did not talk about the fact a couple shows ago, you guys were talking about yoga at breweries. And the Dudes has, for $5, you get yoga and a pint. And I'm pretty sure it's goat yoga, or like baby goats bounce off your back, which sounds awesome until you start, like, they poop all the time, and who knows.
Yeah.
They don't serve food at the Dudes, so I'm guessing they can get away with that there. It's one of those places where you can bring in your own food whenever you want. The other two places have their own food, right? They were all very good. I liked all of them. I would have to say the one that I would watch for and pick up again is the Lost Coast peanut butter and chocolate milk stout. It's definitely one of the best, if not the best, in that flavor profile that I've had.
Interesting.
Yes.
Good.
But I'm telling you, man, all three together. Hey, breweries, call me.
Greg, like,
Yeah, but Doug, let's keep it real though. Why is this any different than when Afro Beer Chick pours a bourbon in a stout? You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. It just.
I'm thinking of it more like a black and tan as opposed to a Boilermaker.
There you go. It's just more about like my reaction is more like this reminds me of my 13-year-old son who wants to mix like all the different flavors and then somehow it works. Like the part I'm like going like this because it actually works. Like, you know what I mean? Like
to be fair, I wouldn't have done that with the three lend themselves palate wise.
Sure.
It's like to the point where I had a little bit of each. I figured, what the hell? I'll give it a try. It was wonderful. I wouldn't go into a bar and say, hey, do you have these three things on tap? Can you layer them for me?
I don't know though. This could be a thing though.
Fuck out of my bar.
This could be a thing though. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Greg and I are always very big about the hey, you like what you like. If you like fucking Coors Light, great.
Yes.
Shit, whatever.
You want to mix 3 beers together? You do it.
Although you saw my post today, Greg, about the White Claw being Halloween costume. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, there's no laws, man. So
I would be a Zima. That I would be. Not a White Claw.
Ironically,
Yeah, probably.
there's no laws with the claws, man. So you can do what you want, right?
That's quite true. So yeah.
So I'm gonna buzz off. Are you guys ending the show? Or what are you doing?
Yeah, I think we're good. Whit, you got anything to add, man?
I feel like I've added more than I should. So
You've been the very first guest we've ever had who has combined all three of their beers to make one beer.
Yes, and liked it.
well, thank you. Thank you.
You are-
And it was fun. I've been wanting to be on the show. I know, like, when you guys first started it, I remember you talking about seeing, all the posts in the Daddy Porter Facebook group. And I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Thanks for having me. I was told there wouldn't be any Greg, but, I'll get over that.
Yeah, I was very glad he could
Sorry.
do it, man. So this is good. All right, folks.
Sorry.
So I think that wraps up for Brothers of Booze for another week, man. Whit, thanks for being on. Greg, thanks for jumping in, man. Enjoy Home Dad Con. Enjoy the West Coast. Whit.
Really? Minnesota's the West Coast now.
No, not you, Whit. Jeez.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. All right. Peace, everybody.